One, two. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the committee rooms for the drivers' briefing. We've got a little bit of a backlog in the queue for coffee, so can you just bear with us for a few minutes? We will be starting shortly after 9:30, so we want to try and get everybody in we can. Give them a cup of coffee so they calm down a little bit, and then we'll be able to have an enjoyable half an hour. Later, if you do have some friends that haven't been able to make it here, can try and make sure, please, that they actually look at the recording afterwards. Drivers' briefings generally are a bit of a sore point because normally they're mandatory. And normally if I do a driver's briefing, anybody that's not here or anybody arrives late, I can charge them hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Now, you lot have made it. Do you think that's a good idea? Something for us to ponder, shall we say? Anyway, good morning and welcome, as I say, to the 2024 RM Sotheby's London to Brighton Veteran Car Run Drivers Briefing. Are you all looking forward to your event? Good. Let's see if we can make the technology work, shall we? Right, I'm going to hand over very quickly to Ben, who wants to just say a few words of welcome.
Thanks, Barry. I think you've stolen all my intro, actually. But just on behalf of the club, the steering group, a very warm welcome to Pall Mall and to our inaugural St James's Motoring Spectacle. Thank you all of those who've brought cars here today. Absolutely brilliant to see them out. There's a huge amount of effort goes into this event, and doing something new like the spectacle today has required a great devotion and dedication from our team, but it requires you as participants to support it, and for that we are most grateful. We've got the concourse going on, so I guess if you haven't polished by now, it's a bit too late. The ruthless team of judges that will be adjudicating in a short while. The briefing is really important for both of you in the room and online, and it will be available later on the website. There are always things change on the run, little bits of nuance on the route, etc. Even this morning, we've sent out what we thought were quite comprehensive instructions, but some of you still came the wrong way down I mean, what is it about you veteran motorists? You're very individual. So please listen to Barry, and then we'll also get to the camera of shame towards the end, when I will just speak again, because the run is in your hands and driving standards are really important, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Meantime, Barry, over to you.
Thank you, Ben. We have something that we actually need to show you as part of our commitment to the safety of the event. So if I can just ask you to watch the screen for a short while. I'm probably going the wrong way on the buttons.
Welcome to the RM Sotheby's London to Brighton Veteran Car Run Safety Briefing. There is no motoring event anywhere on earth to rival the incredible history and charisma of the London to Brighton Veteran Car Run. We want to ensure that all drivers and passengers arrive safely in Brighton and have a truly memorable day.
During the weeks leading up to the run, ensure that all those driving your veteran car are fully conversant with the car's little idiosyncrasies and have experience of driving it. Check that the car is roadworthy. Although not required by law, the organisers recommend that your veteran car has an MOT or other qualified independent inspection during your preparation for the run. It's part of the run's regulation that both front and rear lights must be fitted to your veteran car. The Highway Code states that a warning triangle should be packed on board all vehicles using UK roads. In the case of a breakdown, the triangle should be placed in the road at least 45 metres behind the broken down vehicle on the same side of the road. There are some basic rules of the road which must be observed. Drive on the left-hand side unless instructed by a police officer or run official to do otherwise. A red light on traffic light does mean stop. A green light means proceed with caution. At roundabouts, give way to vehicles approaching from the right. The 60-mile route is clearly identified with RAC directional signage. And remember, the run is not a race. The run has some 250 volunteer marshals to assist drivers along the route. They're identified as being in orange overalls or wearing an orange tabard. They're there to assist and advise, not to have traffic control powers. At strategic pinch points along the 60-mile route, CSAS stewards are contracted to assist the flow of veteran vehicles. These stewards are empowered to control all traffic. Should you break down on the run, there are 23 RAC motoring service units on patrol. Call the breakdown recovery number on your route time card. And please try to remove your vehicle safely off the road if you do break down, and use your high-vis vest and warning triangle. An opening car leaves to check the route 30 minutes before the first veteran car. This is followed by the clerk of the courses car, monitoring the progress of the participants and attending to any incident where assistance may be needed. And maybe make your own checklist to ensure that you don't forget any of the points made in this film.
We look forward to seeing you in Brighton for what is going to be a truly historic tribute to the pioneers of 1896. Enjoy the run.
I'm sure you were mainly aware of that. Obviously, we have some first timers with us this year. We also have foreign participants. So we will be re-emphasising a few of those things during the briefing. So, and then if you're good, I won't ask you questions at the end, but we'll see how we go. Okay, welcome to the driver's briefing. I really do need to explain to you the purpose of the briefing. It really is to explain the arrival and the assembly at Hyde Park. It's for ensuring that your vehicles are actually ready to start, and you'd be surprised how it comes as a bit of a shock to some of you when we come and say, well, you're going to go then? Because people are enjoying the morning, should we say. There's a new start process, which I'm going to be going into very shortly. You may know, if you've done the run over the course of the last couple of years, that we are in a transition stage with regard to our requirements with Transport for London, with the Metropolitan Police, and also local highways authorities. Things have changed on the British roads. You know, if you are based in London, you will know most of it is squeezing you in and slowing you down. So there is a new process that we have to, but we're gradually refining it, and hopefully we'll have a better year on year as we move towards that. Driving standards of the UK highway, I'm going to leave to Ben, because he likes doing that bit. He likes making sure that you all behave yourselves. And then there are a few odd little bits on the route. I'm pleased to say no major things, but if you can, make sure that you perhaps make note of these, and it will assist you on your journey down to Brighton. There are special sections on the route. If you've never done the route before, there are parts where we have to take you up to a set of traffic lights at the top of a hill. Most veteran cars don't like stopping, so we try and ease you up that hill. There will be some marshals around to give you the odd shove if you need one. And at the top of the hills on the traffic lights, they will be controlled by us. There are two particular sections on that one, but again, it's in the various route notes and what have you that we've given you. And then also what happens when you finally get to Brighton and you're all euphoric, you will be met by the teams of the paddock marshals and what have you, asking you to park in certain locations. Most of all, however, please enjoy taking part in the oldest motoring event in the world. It's something I'm proud of, something you should be proud of, and certainly something that the Royal Automobile Club are very proud. Okay, your arrival in Hyde Park, I'm sure you know this. There are two entry points into Hyde Park: Alexandra Gate on the south side off Knightsbridge, and then the second one at Victoria Gate on the north side off Bayswater Road. One of the things that we have perhaps noticed a little bit when you are arriving is that you seem to forget that it's dark. You pull up somewhere, the bloke opens the back of the trailer or drops the things on the trailers and allows you to drive off with no thought the fact that nobody else can see you. Can you please exercise extreme caution when you're unloading your vehicles outside of the park, and remember that other people on the route at the time will not be able to see you. So just bear that in mind. You'd be surprised some of the antics that we have seen where people are actually unloading in the middle of the road. Please be careful and be mindful that when you're unloading your vehicles that you can be seen. When you arrive in the paddocks, please arrive in plenty of time, okay, and proceed along West Carriage Drive to the Triangle. When you're driving along that, again, it will be dark. So please put your lights on. Okay, you might be able to see other people, but they can't see you. We do get an awful lot of runners and cyclists in the park, even at that time on a Sunday morning. So they need to be able to see you. So please make sure that you've got your lights on when you arrive. Okay. Park sensibly as directed by the marshals. We spend an awful lot of time briefing the marshals, asking them to put you into specific places. And that's because if you take that extra 2 meters, that has a knock-on effect right the way down the line. So please do as they ask. Just park in the areas that they need you to. There is a reason for it. Check that you've got all your necessary pieces of equipment. By rights now, we are imposing a mandatory thing for fire extinguishers. So hopefully everybody's got some form of fire extinguisher on them, a fire stick or a small one. If not, you should be getting one. Okay, we're not going to be too dramatic about it this year, but it is getting more and more important. Check that you have all the various pieces with you. If you have a high-vis vest, make sure that you've got it with you, because again, when you stop on the public highway to do your repairs, to top up your oils or your waters, going in for a pee, having a cup of coffee or something like that, people do need to see you, and it saves us an awful lot of aggravation. We have around 400 vehicles that we need to park up in Hyde Park in probably something like an hour. So if you want to volunteer to help us, then we welcome you, but I don't think many people would actually enjoy it too much. It is an undertaking, so please help us a little bit with that part of the arrival procedure. Once you are parked, get yourself ready. Make sure that you've collected your participant pack. It contains a route card and other useful items, including our new trial monitoring system. This is a vehicle locator. It's going to be a little small box of about this size. You don't need to do anything with it. In actual fact, I'd like to say, please don't do anything with it. It will already be turned on. It will already be giving us information. It will have already been checked, and it will last for the duration of the event and even so afterwards. Okay, so please just make sure that it's with the car and not with the person who's going to get off after the first 2 miles. Because otherwise, what it does is it allows us to be able to react very quickly should you need our assistance, should you need RAC recovery or attendance from the RAC, should you have any other reason for us to be able to help you out. Mainly, it will alert us if we've got 15 cars all sitting at the same junction for 20 minutes, we know we have a problem on the route. And then the course cars that are out there will descend upon you, should we say, to be able to assist. So as I say, it's something that's a trial. This year it's not public, it is only being held within the organisation, but what it does do is allows us to know exactly where you are. It also allows the people at the back of the field for us to be able to say, well, we've only got 2 cars, do we really need 40 marshals on Hammer Hill to deal with 2 cars? So it allows us to be able to send some of the volunteers home earlier, okay, and it allows us, as I say, to get an idea what you actually get up to. We've got some ideas, but they're probably not very nice ideas. So it'd be good to know that you're not as bad as we perhaps suspect you might be. Make sure that you've got your sufficient supplies of fuel, oil and water. We have in the route book that we issued you now, give you indications as to where there are garages along the route. They are always the safest and easiest place to fill up your car with fuel. The side of the road is not necessarily that safe. It's also legislation is making it much, much more difficult to do that at the side of the road. So as I say, if you do need fuel, pull into one of the fuel stations. They'll be happy to see you because you actually generate more income as people then stop to have a look at your cars and maybe. So they're quite happy with that. And then also make sure your lights work. Okay. There is a common misconception that it's not the law, but it is. You must have lights that operate on your vehicle. You don't necessarily need to have them on, but you do need to have that capability. And that's been in the highway code and a matter of law now for a couple of years. Moving to the start line, you will be given adequate notice of when to move down. And what we'd ask you to do is actually wait to be told to go down there rather than thinking, well, this lot have gone, I've got to rush off down there. If you do that, if you rush off down there without being asked, then you will be delayed towards the start area because we're not quite ready for you. There is a pre-holding area, and we'll be asking to move down to that with around 6 minutes to go before you start to actually have to move off and set about the run. The pre-start area, and this is in order to comply with current legislation and to act in accordance with the requirements of Transport for London, Metropolitan Police and the Royal Parks, we're having to transform to an 8 minutes go, 8 minutes stop arrangement. It's commonly known as the horse protocol, just as a little laugh. It's how they operate to get the horses out of Hyde Park when they go down to do the changing of the guard. And if ever you're walking around there, if you look at the set of traffic lights, you'll find there's a big wait button about 16 foot up in the air that only a guy with a horse can actually operate. However, we are taking control of those lights. And what will happen, for instance, the first batch of cars departing at 7 o'clock will have 8 minutes of green light. So we'll be able to, or we're targeting, getting 70 cars out within that 8 minute period. We estimate it's going to take us 6 minutes, but we'll see. We will not be suddenly calling you forward, and this is what happened last year, suddenly calling you forward when it's not your turn. Let me put it that way. We will then go red for 8 minutes, and that's the point where we're now allowed to move the next batch into the start area. And then, of course, again, we will get the 8 minutes of green light that allows you to get off. It has two things. One of the things that happens, or has happened, is when we release everybody all at once, it's all very nice until you get down to Parliament Square or get down to Admiralty Arch. And then suddenly you've got a 30, 40, 50 car queue to get through a set of traffic lights that's only allow 3 at a time. So it allows us to spread that out a little bit. So you will have a much better run, we hope, from having this sort of protocol with the lights. It does mean that we may experience short delays. These delays are outside of our control. As I say, we believe that we're going to get a green light at 7 and at 7:16 and 7:32, I think it works out to be. However, normal life gets in the way and we often have to make way for emergency vehicles. We're going around one of the busiest roundabouts in Europe now. And of course, all points seem to converge on there. So it may well be that there will be 2 or 3 minutes delay added on. It won't be taken away, but it may be added on. So your start time that you are aware of now may be delayed, but we will be letting you know that. And there is a reason for it. It may seem as though there's nothing going on. It's because they're waiting for ambulances or whatever to go around the roundabout. We know it's a pain, but please be prepared to be held at that start area for a short while. As I say, really it is down to emergency situations. Last year we had a worse situation because the underpass outside Hyde Park was closed, which meant that the traffic volumes around the roundabout were much, much greater. And that's what caused a little bit of our issues last year. Okay, so we're under starters orders. There is a ceremonial start, which has got all the various bits of the flag waving and the tearing up of red flags, and Ben and his various, shall we say, associates doing the various things that commemorate the start of the London to Brighton, which I do remind you is it is a celebration of the 1896 Act that allowed you to drive more than 4 miles an hour. So there is a purpose to it. If you've driven the event before, you will know that there is a short distance between that point and Apsley Gate and those traffic lights. So please bear that in mind. Please don't break down on that little bit. It's very embarrassing. Not for us, but for you. If you do 15 metres and then you've broken down, we have a little bit of a system that says, got to watch this one, because there's going to be an issue. But please, as I say, once you're out through and off the lights, then we can handle it in other ways. As I say, we will be allowing 70 cars to cross over into Wellington Arch. Can I remind you that exit from the park means you go straight across and round and through Wellington Arch. You don't turn left and try and go around the roundabout, because otherwise you're going to be sitting there for 8 minutes on red lights. It's as simple as that. So just make sure you go straight across. And it does, as I say, there is a trade-off between us and the public. One word of warning. If you do get down to that light and they have gone red for some reason, you have to stop. There's 2 reasons for that. One, it's you're legally required, but also alongside those lights are 2 motorcycle policemen. Okay? They are going to be blocking the traffic to protect you, but they have been given free rein to impose whatever they need to do. So if you suddenly find that you've got a motorcycle policeman screaming up behind you, then you know that you've done something wrong as you've gone out through the exit. But it is just really for the safety of our marshals and what have you, and the safety of you. But as I say, please don't try and jump that red light, because it does mean that there is traffic on the roundabout. Pointing the way. I know over the course of the last couple of years, there have been suggestions that the signs weren't there. I will believe you're telling me the truth. I think some people just don't actually see the signs. We spent quite a lot of money, quite a lot of time renewing every sign as we go down the route. It's been quite an undertaking. There's a new contractor involved. They are all in position now because they did most of the work last night. But even doing their checking this morning, they found 5 have been stolen overnight. It's unfortunately... I'm not going to suggest that some people like to have these things as a little bit of memorabilia in their garage, but that's where most of them go. Okay, and you lot are probably some of the worst culprits. Okay, as I say, please, if there is no sign, carry straight on. That's the simple rule. Unless there's a sign that says turn left or turn right, you carry straight on. Okay, if we find, and we will be checking the route, if we find that there are signs, crucial signs that are missing, marshals or my road team will actually be there to say turn left here, even though it might not say. By now, most of you know the route. We haven't changed it too much, but as I say, please bear that in mind. If for any reason we arrive and they've decided to close Red Hill, sounds like a good idea to me, but tomorrow that we get down and we suddenly find that Red Hill is completely closed, we do have contingency routes all the way down. So if you are driving along and you suddenly find a guy in a big orange coat that says London to Brighton, he's got a big sign with an orange arrow on it to say go that way, he's actually steering you around whatever the hold-up may be. Okay, I'm going to say that's what our intention is. It may well be the first couple of cars that arrive, we don't get there in time. But then all you will do is you'll then follow those orange arrows and it'll bring you back onto the route. Okay. If for any other reason we don't get there in time, I'm afraid we do have to let you sort of find your own way to Brighton. It's a place down on the south coast. Okay, I'm sure you'll find it. But that is our intention to be able to do that. As I say, there are directional signs along the route. Nowadays, there are so many yellow signs out there for this housing estate or for B&Q and whatever. It does become very difficult. The vast majority of ours will have the symbol on it that says to you, this is the VCR sign. So please just keep an eye out for it. There are a number of also important signs that will be there, which will indicate to you as to whether we've suddenly been able to turn, or not suddenly, we've been able to turn that particular route section into a one-way only. So in other words, where you're having to climb a hill, there will not be any traffic coming down towards you to allow us to have both lanes of traffic. Bear in mind that we are not the only people on the road. So if we've got 2 veteran cars doing 8 miles an hour side by side up a hill, Joe Public does get a little bit upset. So please, wherever possible, keep over to the left and allow them, because they could have been sitting behind you for at least 10 or 15 minutes. There is one route variation, and it's not necessarily a route variation, but for some unknown reason, Croydon Borough Council decided to close a road on us on Thursday. It is in Poolsden. So as you come out of Croydon out along the Purley Way, there is a very fast dual carriageway section that we avoid by asking you to turn right into Coulsdon Town. You go into Coulsdon Town, and those people that have done the run before will probably know it, because it's got a roundabout that's right outside an Aldi, and that tends to get a little bit clogged up. At that roundabout, you will see that the road is actually closed, but not for you. We've managed to negotiate with the council and with the contractor that they are actually going to be opening up the piece of road that we need to use for you to be able to drive along. It's going to be VCR cars only. Okay, so your support vehicles, your friends, your family, they're going to have to go via the diversion that's been put in place. In actual fact, it leapfrogs them slightly because they're going to have to go down that fast piece of dual carriageway. But it is VCR cars only. It will be manned. Okay, so if when you get to Coulsdon and you turn right, it says road closed ahead, please do not worry about it. It's not closed to you. Okay, and we'll be coming around with a collection plate later to be able to pay for that little arrangement that we've got. But the only thing I will say is we had a similar operation on our summer run this year, and it's now been voted the best part of any veteran car run that's been run for about the last 10 years. So you'll enjoy it. You're all on your own. But as I say, it will be manned. So just make sure that you are aware of that. You have been given a road book, whether you've been given it electronically, and there will be a hard copy of it in your packs. Whether you use it or not is entirely up to you. It really is there probably to entertain your navigators more than it is you, because it's very difficult to steer and look and what have you. I know it's got mileages in there, and you don't have odometers or speedometers or whatever, but I'm sure that when your friend says to you, yeah, there's a garage a mile ahead, you know roughly how far a mile is. And as I say, it's information. It's also a good little checkpoint for you to know that you're on the right route and you haven't gone wrong. So as I say, and it does give you a little piece of information. We welcome feedback on it. It's something that is used around the world for navigation. And so it's always worth having a go at it. If you've never done anything like that before, just get the navigator to sit there and have a look at it. And you'd be surprised how much information you can get back from him. It is a tulip-based thing, and that's a wonderful method of giving directions. And we quite often find that people will go away from here, and when somebody says, well, how do I get to your house? You draw them a little tulip diagram. So as I say, it's all a good help. As I say, it helps you know where you're going to be able to find fuel, water, some good stopping spots, even the local Halfords on the way down, which is always quite useful. It also gives you a little bit of a guidance that when you're approaching a complicated junction, it will say, move to the middle lane, move to the left-hand lane, right-hand lane. So if you've got your navigators with you, your people that are coming along with you, it's always good to know what's around the corner. The route itself, as I say, I haven't changed it too much, okay, but driving in London in particular is becoming more difficult. The 20-mile-an-hour speed limits require me to ask you to slow down, please. Okay, there are some of you that are still exceeding that. I cannot get that waived. If you get a speeding ticket in a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit area, then I'm afraid that's down to you. There's not a lot I can do about it. We do have permission to run in the bus lanes, okay, but that doesn't mean parking in the bus lanes while you pop into the cafe for your breakfast. These are things that have happened over the course of the last couple of years, okay? So please use the bus lanes for driving in, not for parking in, okay? If for any reason you need to pay attention to your vehicle, go into the bus lane, but then get well over to the left-hand side. Otherwise, you get a very angry gentleman and a big red thing that's going to be tooting, saying you're getting in the way of my job. Okay, so please, as I say, use the bus lanes with respect. They are very good to us, TfL, by allowing us to do that. On the route, we have one small little change, and this comes about after the items that I was mentioning earlier about having build-ups of traffic. As soon as you've left Hyde Park, we suddenly get a build-up of traffic at Admiralty Arch or down at Trafalgar Square, and then down towards Parliament Square. So this year, as you go down the Mall, we're asking the red cars to carry straight on as they've done before. However, those that are on the blue route to turn right and go down Horse Guards. That then splits you into two short little routes. You go down to the end of Horse Guards. If you are in London, you'll know that the traffic lights at the end of Horse Guards can be a little bit temperamental insofar as they let all the important people go along in front of you and then only allow 2 or 3 cars. They, again, are being manipulated by TfL to allow us, and this is all the way down the route in London, they're going to be monitoring, and wherever they see the opportunity to give you green lights, they're going to be doing it. But as I say, please, if you're on the blue route, turn right there, because what it does do, when we get to Parliament Square, and I can remember the scenes last year where we had 50, 60 cars all waiting to turn left and turning left into one lane, wasn't a good idea. We had people on the wrong side of the road going out and pulling out in front of buses before they turn left over Waterloo Bridge and what have you. What this does do, it allows us 2 attacks to Waterloo Road. We've got the lot that are coming up from Trafalgar Square and down past the Cenotaph, and then we've also got the other lot who have taken the blue route who are actually going to be going straight on. So just have a quick look at that, particularly if you're on the blue route, because that is new. It is signposted, okay? It is not mandatory. If you make a mistake, okay, we're not going to be chasing after you with blue lights and what have you. You don't suddenly have to stop and turn around and go the other way. And that same rule applies as you go across Westminster Bridge. Now, I think in previous runs, they've actually taken away the ability to go over Westminster Bridge for a lot of the cars. Wasn't very popular because that really is an iconic photo opportunity. Everybody wants a picture of themselves in that car with Big Ben in the background. Everybody, in order for you to be able to go over Waterloo Bridge, we can do that. But when you got over the bridge, again, the route will then split. The route will then split into the red route and the blue route. Now, I don't know how many people were or have been on the blue route previously and not actually taken it. Okay, I would suggest that perhaps, sorry, did somebody, sorry, I thought somebody said my name. If you haven't taken it, please give it a chance. There's not so many 20-mile-an-hour speed limits. There's nowhere near as many sets of traffic lights. It's a little bit more countrified than Brixton on a Sunday morning. So as I say, please do it. You will find, as I say, the blue route, 12 miles through Vauxhall, Clapham, Tooting and Mitcham with a lot less traffic lights. And it's much more of a countryside feel for you. However, if you are on the red route, yes, we're going down through the iconic places such as Kennington, Brixton, Streatham, Norbury. It's slightly shorter, but I think it's only by about a mile. And there are more bus lanes than 20-mile-an-hour things that you have to obey. So there's less spectators. I know it always amazes me when I go down through Brixton, there's just nobody around. So as I say, you will find that it's a little bit nicer if you like enjoy the spectators side of things by going the correct route. And then as we start dropping down out of London, and this is something that we must emphasise to you, when you get to Merstham, which is the intersection of the A23 and the M23, this is where if you were to go left, you will find yourself on the M23, which is not where we want you to be. Okay, so it will be signposted, it will be coned. There will be various signs as you go down saying, please keep to the right at that junction. But that one is quite vital that you actually obey that one. And we will have additional marshalling down there as well to make sure that you don't make the route. If for any reason you do take the wrong route, pull up, stop, and we'll come and get you because we will know that you've accidentally gone down the wrong route. Don't carry on, just pull over and wait. Stops along the way. There are now a number of unofficial stops which have grown up. For instance, I think there's one at a church in Croydon. They are very, very nice people. They're offering a very, very nice service because they're offering you teas, coffees, bacon rolls for nothing. Okay. The only thing we do have to say as an organisation that they are not official stops. So if you choose to stop there, that's entirely up to you. Okay. We're quite happy for you to do that, but you do need to bear in mind that because it's not part of the route, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have any form of insurance. If you have an accident in their car park, somebody runs into you, you run somebody over or anything like that, enjoy it, nothing to do with us, Gov. It's as simple as that. Okay, so as I say, wherever you stop, if it's not an official route, then please feel free to do that. I'm not suggesting that many of you stop at the pubs. Actually, I am, but I know you stop there for a Coca-Cola or something like that. But as I say, please bear in mind that once you're off the official route, then I'm afraid I'm not going to say it's not our responsibility because we do have a responsibility to look after you and a desire to look after you. But you do need to take on board that you're doing something which is outside of the run. At Red Hill, we've got the set of traffic lights again. That's going to be a case of push and shove you up the hill to get you over the top before you then drop down towards Gatwick and then finally arrive for a rest, we hope, at the Horth Theatre. Horth Theatre is a very difficult place for us at the moment because we have to share the venue with a disabled stage production for disabled children. So at the same time you're there, we also have around 140 public vehicles coming in to drop off their disabled children, which is one of the reasons why we have to ask you, please, 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 no tender vehicles at the Horth. There's just not the space for it. We are hoping next year that we're going to be able to alter this situation, but unfortunately the Horth has got a 3-year contract for this particular production. So now in order for us to be able to assist you, because we do know and we do recognise that you do have support vehicles that come along with you, you do have tender vehicles, there is a small parking area which is also available to you should you need to do emergency service work on your vehicle, serious service work on the route in. It is signposted. It's right next door to where Crawley College is. There is a small car park that we will be opening up, and then there will be a shuttle bus for your friends and your people in your support vehicles and your tender vehicles to be able to come down to the Wharf. We don't want to stop the people, it's the vehicles we need to stop. So please, as I say, you've got them, encourage them to pop into there. There's going to be a shuttle vehicle moving backwards and forwards. It's about a 5-minute car or bus ride down, and then they can meet you and do whatever they need to at the Wharf. Okay, but as I say, that is particularly important to us, and it will be rigidly enforced this year with only having VCR vehicles or the AAA pass cars that we need to get into there. Emergency service area. This is in a place called Telford Place. As I say, any vehicles requiring specific attention can go into there, but it is important that all the tender vehicles do not appear at the Wharf. At the Wharf, obviously sponsored with our sponsor Cars, this is a pit stop and it is a mandatory checkpoint. Okay, this is where you get your route card stamped, and under the normal regulations, we say, if you don't get it stamped, you don't get your finisher's medal when you get to Brighton, because we don't know where you've been. Okay, so it's just a little bit of a checkpoint for us. It's also an information point. It's a point where we can say to you, we've got a problem going into Brighton, or there is, and I remember 2 years ago, we were very borderline asking you to stay at the Wharf for an extra hour because the amount of water that was being thrown over the roads by the cars on the A23, it was bigger than a shower, let me put it that way. And so we were going to be holding. So these are the opportunities we have to interact with you and let you know about any new pieces of information that you need. As I say, you don't actually have to stop there if you don't want to have a cup of coffee or a bacon roll or anything like that, but you do need to report into there. So you can go into there, get your car stamped, and then carry on. Okay, but please do go in there. And as we keep on emphasising, no tender vehicles. The checkpoint that's in there, if you are delayed, the last thing you want to be doing is us taking you off to a pointless coffee stop. So if it's around about 1 o'clock and you're still trying to get to Brighton, you will find that checkpoint will actually be on the route. So you can carry straight on and ignore that thing. But that's really from about 1 o'clock only for those cars that are having a difficulty. In the towns, we're anticipating, because it's going to be good weather, that we're going to get a high number of spectators. Now, spectators come in different guises. They either come in 6-foot blokes or even bigger people like Ed, okay, standing at the side of the road, waving to you, taking pictures and smiling. But they also come in the shape of little 3-year-olds running around with mum and dad not keeping an eye on them. So when you come into areas where there are large spectators, please be extra vigilant. Please don't overtake, which is what we've seen in places like Staplefield, where we've got thousands of people on the road and then we've got veterans overtaking in the middle. It's a bit like a scene from some of the Italian rallies that we've had in the past. Please, just as I say, bear in mind the amount of people. We can have up to somewhere between 1 million and 1.5 million spectators on this event. It is one of the largest free-to-view events in the United Kingdom. Okay, we love it, but you are the stars. And we don't want you to be the stars for the wrong reasons. So just please be cognizant of the fact that there are lots and lots of spectators out there. Those key locations will probably be Handcross, Staplefield certainly, and then Cuckfield, which is the very narrow village that we go through. And again, we set up a little one-way system there because the parking is atrocious. And you would not be able to get through there if we didn't. So just bear those in mind. They become very, very busy. At Stonepound Crossroads, it's a similar arrangement to what we have at Red Hill. This is just before you get to Clayton Hill. Okay, again, it's going to be an uphill set of traffic lights. Okay, it's a busy junction coming in from all directions because when we impose the one-way system at Clayton, any traffic that wants to go northbound actually has to come off the A23 and go via that set of traffic lights. So whilst you're going that way towards Brighton, the public are all trying to rejoin to go the other way. So it can be a little bit complicated. We do have 10 big burly marshals there to be able to give you a shove. Can I just ask one little thing? If you are all big burly guys, can some of you get out the car and give them a hand? Because we have had sort of 2 or 3 guys trying to push 4, should we say, rather generous gentlemen, up a hill in a car. So as I say, please assist them a little bit. They will and may ask you to go into a lane which is inferior to you, i.e. the one that's going to turn right. That is because at the top of the hill, we're controlling the lights and you're going to be able to go straight on even though you're in that one lane. So please just bear in mind what the marshals are asking you to do and wherever possible, comply. Heading off into the hills. Okay, when you are climbing the hills, if you have any suspicion you're not going to be able to make it, don't try. Okay, pull over to the side and then suggest that perhaps you might need the assistance of some of our tow vehicles and they will tow you up to the top of the hill. Okay, there's nothing worse than, yeah, I'm all right, but, and you stop. Okay, because you're actually a little bit further down, it starts causing confusion. So if you do, just pull over. As you get to the hills, just sort of say, I'm going to need a tow, and then one of the 10 vehicles will come along and assist you. The marshals might just perhaps push you to one side. Please bear in mind, as I say, keep to the left on the hills. Okay, the amount of times that, as I say, we do have these little races that seem to go on that nobody wins. It's a bit like the lorries that you see on the motorway when one of them's doing 2.25 miles faster than the bloke that's on the inside. And so you're stuck behind him forever. You imagine what that's like if you're driving your Porsche. That's not my phone, by the way. Must be somebody's. As I say, you know what that's like when you get caught up behind. That's exactly what it's like for members of the public with veteran vehicles. So please just bear that in mind. They are one way, okay, but as I say, please keep over to the left-hand side. Pyecombe. Pyecombe is the section of the A23 where it is the monster dual carriageway as you head down towards Brighton. Over the course of the last couple of years, what we've done is we've managed to cone the inside. Sorry, well, that was mine, but okay. We have managed to cone that so that you are the only people that can go down there. And please, it is only you, not your support vehicles, not your tender vehicles or anything like that. I'll stop in a second, don't worry. So please, as I say, ask your tender vehicles and your support vehicles to use the main A23. We've actually managed, and I didn't believe that we were going to be able to do it, we've actually managed to get a speed reduction on the main road as well. So the main road will be down to around 40 miles an hour to assist you when you get to the bottom. The cones end. You've then got to get across possibly 2 to 3 lanes of faster moving traffic. We're slowing those down a little bit for you. And in actual fact, we've created a major diversion. We're going to get all sorts of grief from the local people, but there is even a diversion for those going north. But as I say, please take the greatest of care there. It is a, shall we say, a hot spot that keeps me awake at nights. So much so that I think most people in here have got cars. Is that correct? Is there anybody on a cycle? Cycles and motorcycles. You know what it's like when you're in your car. You imagine what it's like when you're on a penny farthing trying to get across that. So this year, what we're doing is we've actually changed the cycle route slightly. And that is when they start getting down to the bottom, you'll find on the left-hand side, just before you get to the bridge for the flyover there, a cycle lane suddenly appears. We don't know why, because it's not down the rest of the road, but it suddenly appears on the left-hand side. So we're asking the cycles to go onto that cycle lane, which just takes them slightly around the corner. When they get slightly around the corner, the road is much calmer. They've only got the 2 lanes with the centre aisle heading off onto the A27. So we're asking them to go via that route, which is much, much safer for them. You as cars, you can carry on as we have done before and as per the signposts that are there. Okay, so we're almost in Brighton. We're nearly at the end. Okay, the run into Brighton and our finish in Madeira Drive, you may use the bus lanes as necessary. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to use them. Okay, but they are there for your use. And to be perfectly honest, it does assist us with the traffic flows. However, there is a section in Brighton called the bus gate. Okay, and that is a section where you come down the hill. Okay, and there's a big sign that says buses only, or bus gate, it actually says. We are no longer using that piece of road. There is a reason for it, and that is because there is a particular store along there, Poundland, okay, which has got a pedestrian crossing. And what happens is people just sit there pressing the button all the time to stop you to get lovely pictures. And we suddenly end up with 30 or 40 cars all queuing to get across that pedestrian crossing. So we're not using that. And if you do go into that, then I'm afraid it's your fine, not mine. Okay, there will be marshals there also to indicate to you that you just go round to the left on the old traditional route. And we did it last year. 99.999% of you had no issues whatsoever with that. So just bear that in mind. Please don't go careering through Brighton thinking, oh, I know where we're going. Brighton has changed in more ways than one. Also in Brighton, the Highways Authority have asked me to re-emphasise to you that if you've got a red light, you stop at the red light. Otherwise, they'll be collecting pictures of you and you'll be getting those pictures coming through to you 10, 14 days later. Okay, we do have in your excitement a number of people that will rush because they want to get down to the finish. We're nearly there. We're not going to stop for anything. Please, you do need to stop. Otherwise, it's going to be down to you. Brighton is now full of cyclists. Okay, please give them plenty of room. There are new rules in the United Kingdom, as you probably know, about the amount of space you've got to give them. They will demand that space. Okay, and it will be a fight between you and them. So please give them enough room when you're in Brighton. And then breathe. Hopefully you've made it. When you arrive at Madeira Drive, approach the finish line slowly and smile for the cameras because there will be a lot of cameras down there. After you've crossed the stop line, you go up to a control where we will be asking you to hand in the monitoring device that I mentioned right at the start of the briefing. Okay, they cost £70 if we don't get them back. So it's quite important that we get them and we relieve you of them when you get to Brighton. If for any reason you break down, then what will happen is we will get in contact with you or we'll be notified and you will be visited by one of the course cars to come along and say, we're ever so sorry, can we have your monitoring device, please? Okay, and then you can go off and do it. If for any reason that does not occur and you've broken down outside a pub that you've decided to go and have lunch, okay, if you do need to go, just let us know that you've left it with the barman and we'll collect it from there. The final thing will be is we're going to be chasing around your house at 10, 11 o'clock on a Sunday night saying, can we have our monitoring unit back, please? Okay. And don't think you can hide because we know where you are. Okay. Once you've done that, once you've handed those in, then we'll be pleased to be able to give you your finishes medal and then please park as directed by the marshals. What can you expect? I think if you look at that left-hand picture, if we all go out with that expectation, then we're not going to be disappointed, are we? At the moment, the weather, I think this is wood, is looking relatively good for us. So we are looking forward to an enjoyable day. The only thing that I do put into that picture at the end of it is that if you are still running towards the end of the day, you've got to be very careful of the sunlight because the sun can be very dazzling at this time of year. And if we do get a good day, it can be very, very difficult. So just bear that in mind. As it says, wherever you go, no matter what the weather is, veteran cars bring their own sunshine. I had to change that because I had another expression last year that said when it came down to the weather forecast, if we didn't have the weather forecast, then 80% of the British public wouldn't know how to start a conversation. But unfortunately, the chairman, well, the vice president, ex-chairman, whatever, stole that from me last year. I didn't let him know about this one this year. But as I say, please make sure that you enjoy yourselves. I'm now going to hand over to Ben.
Gary, thank you very much. Very comprehensive. Just want to cover driving standards, and you've got the list here. And for those of you online, have a look at it. We are representing the motoring movement, the veteran car movement. I know we've all waited 364 days for tomorrow's activities. We're all very excited and we want to get on, we want to enjoy our cars. But in a busy and increasingly busy world, we are on show and we have had incidents of people driving badly. Can I say you do not want to be captured by Barry's dash cam? That is the death knell of your motoring career. And unfortunately, it has happened to one or two people. And it would be probably naughty of me to mention some of the perpetrators of bad driving. But all I would say is one year I was sat in a traffic jam and I was surprised to see a car registered RAC1 going up the verge. I then had to deal with a notable member of the club and remonstrate. Don't be an amber gambler, respect the lights. one of the most often heard excuses I hear is, I couldn't stop. Well, drive a bit slower. It's not a race, as Barry said at the beginning. Give yourself an adequate braking distance. I know there's great fun of those slow overtakes, but we are on show. Really don't want to see you, and I don't want to have to write to anybody, because it's not much fun. So just enjoy the day. Be careful. Respect the bus lanes again. Crawley is where you're not allowed in that horrible concrete road. Amazing how many people seem to go in there every year. But enjoy the run, and just please behave and enjoy. Thank you.
You, Ben. Ben just mentioned the Clerk of the Courses dash cam. There are 7 new ones out there this year, because I have 7 other cars with them. So as I say, if you do misbehave, we will probably know about it. The people, particularly in Brighton, tell us now that virtually every set of traffic lights has got a camera on it. You'd be amazed how many times there are stuff out there and how quickly they let us know about it. Please remember that not everybody loves you. Okay, those people that are rushing to get to work or get down to B&Q or round to Granny's, okay, get a little bit angry. And so what they're doing, they're looking for you doing things wrong so they can have a good old moan and stop us. So as I say, you are the ambassadors of veteran car run and the veteran car community. So please just bear that in mind. Right, we're almost done. If you break down, I should have put my glasses back on for this one. If you stop for any reason, always try and get off the road into a place of safety. If you need to work on your car, make sure that somebody acts as a lookout for you. If you've got a high vis, put that high vis on, please. If your issue requires RAC road services attention, then please call them on the telephone number that is in your packs. The RAC patrolman will come along and do his best to assist you. The RAC patrolmen that we have out there come to us free of charge because they enjoy the run, they enjoy being with you, and we actually get lots and lots of volunteers. We've got one guy who's celebrating his 30th year with us. They say because what happens is they can go home, they can dump all the electronics into the garage and pick up their proper tools. So that's why they love doing it. However, the RAC are not there if you break down to Croydon to take you down to Brighton. If you've got your own recovery service with them, then you can do it through that. But as I say, they are only there to do a repair on your car if they can assist, or to get you to a position of safety. And then if you require, obviously, a relay service, they will organise it, but it's not something that is actually part of the package. So as I say, if you do break down in Croydon, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to deliver you down to Brighton, irrespective of whether your tender car is there or your trailer's there or not. Please remember that Madeira Drive and the VCR, we have a curfew of 4:30 at Madeira Drive. If you are going to be with us by about 4:45, we may hang on for you, or we will hang on for you, and we'll put the kettle on for a cup of coffee. But I'm afraid the rest of it will all start to be having to knock down, because we've got times that we've got to be away from there. If for any reason you do retire and you want to carry on, can I just please ask you to strike through the ID plate? Okay, because that then means that you're no longer part of the run. You've actually retired from it, and it just assists us, shall we say, in making sure that you're not part of our responsibility. We have a responsibility to you, but you're no longer part of the run. We don't have to wait for you. A couple of reminders: congestion charges. Okay, that's down to you. It's nothing to do with us. You will find that most times your veteran vehicles don't show up on the radar. It's as simple as that. But that is down to you. ULEZ charges do not apply to your veteran vehicles because they've got no specifications for them. It's as simple as that. So as I say, you do find that they do not. However, your tender vehicles will be subject to ULEZ charges. If you have those support vehicles, please don't ask them to follow you right behind you. Last year, we had one particular vehicle and it had 5 support vehicles, each one with a different daughter in it, and they were like a moving train. Okay, I ended up with something like 30 photographs of them causing problems. Okay, we respect that you do like to have members of the family perhaps following you, but ask them to leave a little bit of a gap, because what it does do, it allows the public or even other veterans to be able to overtake them pull back in, and then maybe overtake you. But if you've got 5 vehicles following a 14-mile-an-hour vehicle, it does cause problems. So please just try and be a little bit sensible on it. There are going to be still 10 roadside checkpoints, because whilst we've got the new monitoring system, it is a trial for us. So those people will be just waving to you, counting the amount of cars that go past. Just give them a wave back. They're there to make sure that we've got control and make sure we're having a safe passage down to Brighton. And that it is a point, if you do have a major issue, you can stop and talk to them, because they're in communication with us right the way down. There's no need to stop unless you have to. And that's just about it. Right. It is a time, firstly, to ask whether there's been any questions have come on the internet. And Grace is just going over to have a look at the queue. Nothing at the moment. Do we have any questions from the room? So,
did you say, Barry, that this video is coming out later? I'm just thinking that
the video of this presentation, yes. Yes, it's been recorded. It's gone out live. Sorry? Yes, I think, yeah. So? Not as far as I'm concerned. I would not say so, because our permissions really start at 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you use them, it's up to you. I'll put it that way. I might like to think I'm God, but I'm not. I can't draw those sort of things. Madam at the back. You shouldn't be using them, no. No, you shouldn't. As I say, whether they will... You do find that TfL, believe it or not, are actually quite a reasonable organisation, that what they will do, but it depends on whether a human looks at the picture or whether a computer looks at the picture. The human might turn around and say, oh, it's one of those veterans. Oh, don't worry about that. Whereas the computer will say, no, charge them. So?
I've heard rumours that those of us parked our tender vehicles at Brighton.
Yep.
Now got parking tickets.
Yeah, they will be waived. Okay, that was just a small miscommunication between Brighton Council and their parking enforcement company, which is a new one. Parking enforcement company decided they were going to give everybody a parking ticket. It took us a couple of hours to get it sorted, but no, all of those will be waived. So whether you get notified that it's been waived or not, I do not know. But if you do receive any further communications, please let us know, because we've got the piece of paper saying that they shouldn't be charging you. Any others from the room? Sorry, one at the back.
Will we be idling for 7 minutes at the start? But should we 30 in the long?
No, what we'll be doing, we'll be pulling you down. As I say, we've got an 8-minute window. So we'll be pulling you down from 6 minutes onwards to when that light goes green. Obviously, the first car's down, there's going to be longer than the last car coming down. But we've got to move 70 vehicles. So you're not actually going to be idling unless we have an emergency. But as I say, the vast majority of time, and it's not going to be a case of every time a batch goes off, you're going to be asked to move. It's going to be 2 or 3 batches move down. You'll see them all moving. You won't need to move. And they will be adjusting the amount of time to allow you the time to get down to the start line in order to be able to take the green lights. So if you're at towards the back end of the sectors, you may well find that it's going to be 4 or 5 minutes extra to allow you to drive down to the start in anticipation of the green light phase. I know it sounds complicated, doesn't it? But it's not, honestly.
Okay, I'm conscious that
Is now.
Yep. Time is ticking on, Barry. Please, a round of applause for Barry for a very comprehensive presentation. I wish you all a great day today. Just before you go, the most important thing, 120 years of the Ladies Automobile Club, and we will be having a photograph with the beautifully attired ladies at 11 o'clock outside the clubhouse. So I'm looking in the front row here. Please, will you be outside at 11? No self-identifiers, I'm afraid, chaps. It's ladies only. We're celebrating a great occasion. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.